after a bombshell revelation from one of his lawyers, that being Rudy Giuliani, who said late last night that President Trump did reimburse Michael Cohen for that $130,000 in hush money paid to porn star Stormy Daniels. President Trump tweeting this morning saying that Cohen, quote, received a monthly retainer, not from the campaign and having nothing to do with the campaign, from which he entered into through reimbursement, a private contract between two parties known as a non-disclosure agreement or NDA. These agreements are very common among celebrities and people of wealth. In this case, it is in full force and effect and will be used in arbitration for damages against Ms. Clifford, Stormy Daniels. The agreement was used to stop the false and extortionist accusations made by her about an affair, despite already having signed a detailed letter admitting that there was no affair. Prior to its violation by Ms. Clifford and her attorney, this was a private agreement. Money from the campaign or campaign contributions played no role in this transaction. As we have pointed out, that's an awfully lawyerly way to speak.
Absolutely. Other than one word being misused in a way that would echo of how Trump often tweets, roll, R-O-L-E versus R-O-L-L. That's not a spelling error. It's word choice. Other than that, this is proof the president is lawyered up. OK, this is proof that people like Rudy Giuliani, his mind isn't on impressing you politically the way it was during the campaign. It's about limiting legal exposure. You may not believe what you're hearing, and you may not believe it with good reason. However, credibility, that's about politics. They're worried about legal exposure. And just moments ago on Fox News, Rudy Giuliani again said that the president isn't changing his story.
Didn't know the details of this until we knew the details of it, which is a couple weeks ago. Maybe not even a couple, maybe 10 days ago. Mm-hmm. Remember when this came up? October 2016. I was with him day in and day out then. I can't remember the details of what happened. And this was, I know 135,000, I don't want to, demean anyone, but 135,000 seems like a lot of money. It's not when you're putting $100 million into your campaign. It isn't pocket change, but it's pretty close to it at the end.
It's very easy to get bogged down in what the federal election laws are. We've spent weeks, if not months, hearing from Donald Trump, Michael Cohen, Sarah Sanders, that the president knew nothing about the payment to Stormy Daniels and didn't reimburse Michael Cohen for the payment to Stormy Daniels. That turns out to be a complete lie. That he did reimburse Michael Cohen for the $130,000. I mean, I think that's kind of amazing.
But what if it was reimbursed, Jeffrey, sorry to interrupt, through a retainer, a monthly retainer that he was paying his personal lawyer, $35,000 a month, and so he didn't know what that was going to? I mean, that's what Rudy Giuliani is saying.
I mean, that's what he's saying, but it's ridiculous. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous. It gets harder to maintain.
Right, but they're different standards,
though, Jeffrey. It gets harder to maintain is an elegant way of Attorney General Cuccinelli saying that. But it's just ridiculous. I mean, come on. You either know it or you don't. And I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't care how much money you're putting into your campaign, as Rudy said during that interview. $130,000 to a porn star, it kind of gets your attention. It's kind of memorable. And I think it's different from paying for posters. Right. People know whether they're paying hush money to a porn star.
Right, but remember the basis of analysis, though. Look, Jeffrey, anybody who knows Trump knows that he's as tight as two coats of paint. He knows where his money goes. The idea he wouldn't know this, even Judge Napolitano
he just
said it on Fox, which is a little bit of an indication of why they're starting to use somebody else to be a hammer against everybody who seeks the truth instead of Napolitano. But Ken, it's a different standard. When we hear it, it doesn't smell right. It smells like BS. It smells like a fabrication. But it's a different standard because to the prosecutor, even someone, when you were AG, they'd say, well, prove I knew. Prove that I meant this as a campaign contribution. Prove it. Because I don't have to impress you about whether I'm telling the truth. You have to make the case. The burden's on you, not me. That's the play here, isn't it?
I agree with you. That is the play here. And, to flesh it out a little bit, the argument is going to be, look, this is embarrassing enough. I didn't want it out at all. Campaign or no campaign. Yes, might it have hurt then? But that's when she was looking to take it out. May be the case. So it'll be interesting. Some of the questions will return back, not in a harsh way, but in a curious way to Ms. Clifford there. And we'll be asking, what did they think you were about to do? Because I think that will affect the plausibility of the president knowing or not knowing the details of this at the time. I mean, it was a busy month.
So, Jeffrey, Rudy Giuliani is talking. He was talking last night. He's talking again this morning. So here he is explaining why Michael Cohen would pay $130,000 out of his own pocket for a non-existent affair.
This was for personal reasons. This was the president had been hurt personally, not politically, personally so much, and the first lady by some of the false allegations. That one more false allegation, right. 6 years old. I think he was trying to help the family, and for that, the man is being treated like some kind of villain, and I think he was just being a good lawyer and a good man.
Jeffrey, your thoughts?
I mean, you know, it is not. It is like everything in that sentence. You should have a not in front of. I mean, it's so completely false. First of all, it's unethical for a lawyer to pay a damage judgment or pay a settlement or pay anything on behalf of a client without telling the client. So the idea that he was being a good lawyer by not telling his client that he was doing this is the inverse of what's true. In addition, it's not believable. It's not believable that Michael Cohen would